Neri Zilber. Neri is a fellow at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. He joins us from Tel Aviv. Neri, how important is what's happening in Jerusalem right now?
It's quite important. As you mentioned at the top, historically, it's important 75-year anniversary, but really to maintain the memory of the liberation of Auschwitz and the general maintenance of the memory of the Holocaust in people's minds. Obviously, it's an occasion for almost 50 world leaders and royalty, primarily from Europe, to come to Israel and to show solidarity with the victims of the Holocaust and with the memory of those who perished.
Absolutely. Memory and history are two extremely important things. Humanity is based on its collective history. What evidence is there that the world has learnt enough lessons from the Holocaust?
That's a great question. I would submit to you that not enough of the lessons of the Holocaust have been learned and have been internalized. Obviously, we've seen in recent decades and even in recent years horrific acts of violence against other people all around the world, whether here in the Middle East, in Africa, and elsewhere. The memory, I would say, for Israel and the Jewish people writ large is that never again, they say that with regard to the Jewish people, and also oftentimes with regard to humanity at large. I think with the latter point, there's a lot of more work to be done.
How frustrating is it for you that people draw continuously a parallel between Judaism and the politics of the Israeli state? I mean, it should be possible to separate them, but a lot of people find that quite difficult to do, it seems, and they're simply against Judaism because they're against the actions of the Israeli state.
Right. I mean, we've seen the confluence of the two, whether anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism merge. Especially in recent years, it's become a major issue, and also a major issue here in Israel, which the government of primarily Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have tried to push back against. Now, you don't have to litigate Israeli government policy to know that oftentimes the criticism of Israel bleeds into generally this more anti-Semitic approach to Israel and Judaism writ large. I would submit also that, especially on a day like today, the purpose of Israel, the reason that Israel was created in 1948, is emphasized precisely to battle against, to defend against the possibility of another Holocaust.
You mentioned that the world probably hasn't learned enough lessons from the Holocaust, and evidence of that is the amount of anti-Semitism that exists around the world. At the moment in the United Kingdom, we have the main opposition party and its former leader accused of leading a group of anti-Semites within the Labour Party itself. And that's just one example from an industrialized, developed country that regards itself as a beacon of democracy and goodwill around the world. What about anti-Semitism in the rest of the world? How does Israel deal with that? How do people need to be educated about Judaism and about anti-Semitism?
Well, I think a good start would be to educate people and to remind people about the precedent of the Holocaust, right? This happened in the heart of Europe, perpetrated by arguably the most modern European state, Germany at the time. Against its own Jewish population, and then obviously against most of European Jewry. So even that particular lesson says if it could happen in Germany of the 1930s and 40s, then it likely can happen anywhere. Obviously, you've seen the rise of anti-Semitism across Europe and also in North America as well. Looking at it, you don't want to draw too sharp of a historical parallel. But there are murmurings of this kind of regeneration of anti-Semitism, which is quite worrying, not only for the Israeli people and government, but also, I would argue, for all of world Jewry and also the entire world, which is, I think, a big reason why you've seen so many world leaders arrive for the ceremony here in Jerusalem.
Neri, thank you so much for your time. We always appreciate your presence on TRT World. Neri Zilber speaking to us from Tel Aviv.